I'm Tim Quilty, the Liberal Democrats member for Northern Victoria in the Victorian Upper House. Parliament was supposed to be sitting this week. I had arrived in Melbourne with a folder full of questions that I wanted to ask the government on behalf of my constituents, the people of Northern Victoria. Issues that people had brought to me, asking me to take up for them in the Parliament. But instead they shut it down. They didn't want to have to give proper answers to any of my questions about border lockdowns, COVID testing, or the medical evidence to support the lockdowns. And I'm certain that other MPs had plenty of questions that might have given the government problems, made them uncomfortable, made them have to justify their actions. But they were having none of that. They picked up their bat and ball and they went home. They voted to shut the Parliament down under the pretext of minimising virus spread. They didn't even let me finish my speech opposing them. They cut me off at the 30-second mark. Last year, when they shut down the Parliament, the government refused to put in rules allowing us to sit remotely. And in all the time since, they haven't changed their position. However, we were all wearing our masks and we were all socially distanced, playing by the rules. If any transmission was to have actually occurred in the Parliament, it would have made a mockery of all the advice we've been getting about masks and distancing. Not that there isn't plenty to make a mockery of there. So, if I couldn't sit in the Parliament and do my job, I decided to sit outside the Parliament on the steps and protest the government's handling of the lockdowns and the border closures. Some might call that a stunt, claim opponents of the closure were ignoring the health and safety of Victorians. They could not answer allegations they were using secret health advice to close down democracy. But I think it's clear that health advice never plays a part in this government's decisions. They've never shown any member of Parliament the evidence they use to make decisions to close the border, to keep us locked down at home, to keep families apart. And they're clearly determined to close down any scrutiny of what they are up to. They've hidden human rights assessments, they've hidden information which they claim supports their lockdowns. Proper health advice has to include mental health. This is a conversation no one in the Victorian Government is having, but it has to happen. The Premier must at least acknowledge that while he's aiming squarely to get numbers down, there's a price being paid. He's not the one paying the price. He's enjoying all the social media likes, the shares, the comments from the I Stand With Dan crowd who cheer everything he does. He's enjoying the daily media conferences. Meanwhile, Victorians are trying to come to terms with what's being done to them. And we have a growing wave of business failures and of mental health issues. Shepparton got named today as an exposure site, and we all know how trigger happy this government is. But so far they haven't shut down all of regional Victoria again. Yet. Have they learned from their past mistakes? Well, don't hold your breath. They won't let local experts manage local outbreaks. They won't trust regional Victorians to act sensibly. They prefer to treat us all like children and send us to our rooms. They've done it to the Parliament, and I've no doubt they'll do it happily to the whole state again. There is a breaking point, and many of us are at it. Locking down the playgrounds in Melbourne may have been a step too far. Gangs of angry mothers are now roaming the streets, armed with scissors, and tearing down the closed tape so that kids can play. It sounds funny, but people can only be pushed so far. We need our Freedom Day set, a day when all COVID restrictions end. And we say that date should be the 4th of December. And we need to demand that government set the date and stick to the date. Forget the targets. We need a Freedom Day, we need to be let free.